Straw Hut Media.
What in the world? I'm literally on Do Not Disturb. People are literally pressing notify anyways. Oh my God. I do that too though, so I can't even be mad. I'm like, notify anyway. Hey guys, what's up? It's Jordyn Jones and welcome back to the Jordyn Jones podcast, or welcome to the podcast. If you are new, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and the podcast on all streaming platforms. And let's just get right into this video. You guys, this video is highly requested. Everyone has wanted me to talk about being on the show for so long, and I've never sat down and talked about my own experience. I did have Asia on my podcast about 2 years ago, and that episode is still up and gets so many views to this day. So I want to talk about my experience being on AUDC. If you guys didn't know, it's called Abby's Ultimate Dance Competition. I was on that show when I was 13, 14 years old, and I got, I think, 4th or 5th place. So let's just get into these questions. And I do have some tea that I do always talk about, but people will still ask me, what would the producer say when you started your interviews and everything like that? So I'll get into that in this episode. So number one, this one, I actually had to call my mom and ask this question. If you guys didn't know, my mom was on the show with me. I had to call her because one, she kind of will watch the show randomly or watch certain clips. I don't really remember anything, so I had to ask her for this one. Number one is, was the fight with your mom and Maria in the first episode staged? So first, my mom thinks that this was maybe in the 2nd or the 3rd episode. And yes, she did just watch this clip or episode a couple weeks ago. So she knew exactly what I was talking about. And I literally have no idea. I don't really know what sometimes went on between the parents. But my mom said with this scenario that me and Lexi had a duet. And the moms were obviously watching us. So in the routine, there was a walkover, or a back walkover. I don't even know what that is really called. It's where you kind of go backwards, but you're not jumping like a back handspring. You're just doing a walkover. I don't know how to explain it, but basically there was one of those in the routine and I could do it, but Lexi couldn't. And the choreographer and the moms were like, oh, let's just try it. Come on, we know you can get this. And so she tried to do it, and I think she fell to her knees, and she was hurt or crying or something like that. Again, this is just from literally what my mom is telling me. But the fight was that Lexi's mom, Maria, was mad at Lexi for not being able to do it. Lexi was upset. So my mom and me were kind of going at it with Maria. I guess she said I was involved because I was upset about it too. She can't do it. She doesn't want to do it. Why can't we just change it? So I guess that there was a huge fight, but basically my mom and I were mad because she was yelling at her kid, which kind of always happened on the show. I mean, it happened to me. It happened to everyone. I think that that's what happened, and no, it was not staged at all. I can say that nothing that happened really between me and other girls were staged, but I did hear other stuff that I'll talk about in the episode that were kind of set up. But this scenario was not set up. It was not fake. It was totally real, and I don't exactly know everything about the situation, but that's just what my mom had to say right before I walked in today. Next one, who were your favorite dancers / moms on AUDC? Obviously, Asia and Christy were my favorite. I would say other than them, because that's obvious. I did get along with Zach. He and me and Asia would kind of hang out a lot. I feel like me and Lexi got along, but I don't know if we really hung out necessarily, aside from filming that much. Oh, Tessa, duh, I love Tessa. I wasn't super close with her mom, though. Tessa and I, we still talk to this day. Who else do I want to give a little shout out to, Matcha? I remember Madison, being cool, but I don't really remember hanging out with her much. I feel like that's all about, my favorites. Obviously, I got along and hung out with everyone. Everyone was pretty nice to me. I don't really think I had a bad experience with a certain mom or kid. To my knowledge, I mean, I feel like people would make remarks or kind of not like me because I was winning or I was getting solos or whatever. People were kind of not into my mom and I. And we honestly didn't get into much drama, much scuffle. I wouldn't say we were the only normal ones, but like we just weren't really giving into the drama that much. I was kind of just there to have fun and dance, and my mom was wanting what's best for me. If she needed to stay out of something, she would. Except for that Lexi thing, I guess. We were really going at it. All right, next question is, how do you look back on that experience? I didn't think in the moment that it would be something I would be talking about 10 years down the road. This was basically a decade ago, and I still get asked this question. I still get people commenting, oh, you were my favorite. Oh, I like this solo. I loved you on AUDC. It's really crazy how something from so long ago has still been such an important, impactful part in my life. And I seriously wouldn't change anything from that experience at all. I loved everything about it. When I look back on it, I just think about where I was when I got that phone call that I made it on the show or got my first interview. It was just so crazy to me. Basically, how I got on the show was I would post my dance clips on YouTube, and so would other famous dance companies. I think one of the big ones was Dancing with YT. You know, the casting directors, they have to go out and find talent, scope the whole internet for people who would be good on the show. So they found me from one of those dance videos. We got a call, I don't even know how, being like, we want you guys to audition. Next thing you know, we're doing a Skype interview, and then we're in LA or New York or something for the real interview where I have to dance and perform for them. And yeah, we got the call that I booked the show. My parents owned my dance studio in Michigan, and I just remember basically being in the front lobby and my mom just like screaming that we got on the show. And I was so excited. How did my life go from being in my dance studio, working so hard every single day? No one knew who I was really. I don't even know how it really happened, but just from that phone call, I feel like my whole life changed. And I'm so thankful for those videos on the internet and to be recognized for them, and then to be in LA living my dream and working. It was just all so crazy. That's literally how it all started for me. Literally wouldn't change anything. A lot of people always ask, did I want a normal childhood, or did I miss being in school? No, I was literally living my dream when I was like 14 years old. Yeah, I wouldn't change anything. I love it. This is a great segue into the next question. What was your initial impression of Abby Lee as a kid? Okay, so when I got to LA to do that audition and I booked the job, the show was called My Kid Can Dance, and Abby Lee was huge. She was on Dance Moms. It was probably like the second season or something back then. It was huge. My mom was a huge fan of Abby Lee. I had known who she was. And so we booked the show as My Kid Can Dance. I don't even know if this is stuff that I can really say, but Abby Lee had nothing to do with it, and it was just supposed to be a kid competition show. Really had nothing to do with the moms. So then when we were all there at the same exact time, they had us lined up on stage to like announce us, and we were filming. And Abby Lee walks up, and the show's called Abby's Ultimate Dance Competition, and everyone is there, and Abby's a judge, and there's other judges, and the whole thing kind of immediately changed. They like got us in, approved us, and we okayed this situation, and now like Abby Lee's a part of it, which for some people can go good or bad. If you're a fan and you think that Abby is cool and nice or like a good teacher or whatever, but some people were probably like, oh no, I'm not being involved with this woman. But my first impression was, I'm so excited that she's here. I thought she was just one of the judges, but the whole show is basically a spin-off of Dance Moms. I was just so excited. I was so happy. I thought that my skills were gonna get so much better because she's such a tough teacher, and that's always the best for dancers. Literally anyone. If you have like a tough soccer coach and you really invested in, you know, your craft, you're just gonna be so much better. That's kind of how it is with Abby. Like, yeah, she's really tough and she's hard, but it makes you so much better. I feel like a lot of the Dance Moms kids will still say that. But my first impression of Abby, I was so excited, so happy. My mom was freaking out because she's like a huge Abby Lee fan. I was just so excited to be on the show and be able to get a chance to just be on TV, filming with all these girls and Zach. But yeah, I loved it, and I was so excited to meet her. Next question. We kind of did already talk about this, but favorite girl and mom from the show. So I'll change it for my favorite girl and mom on Dance Moms. I still talk to Brooke and, well, not so much Paige, but I still talk to Brooke. And I wasn't super close with any of the moms, but I also loved like Nia and her mom. I thought that they were just like nice and sweet. Nia, I'll still see around at events here and there, but they were definitely like my favorite teams of girls and moms. Next question is, did you get along with Abby? I think I did. I mean, I wasn't a contemporary pretty dancer, or at least compared to the other girls. I was more of like the hip hop, jazz, funk. So it wasn't like I was Abby's favorite ever, except for when I did my contemporary solo, and I will always remember that performance. I feel like, yeah, I kind of was looked at as the jazz, funk, hip hop, maybe the best at those categories. But I wanted to prove myself, and especially like how good of a dancer I was to Abby with that contemporary solo, because again, like I was always put with hip hop, jazz, funk, even just like jazz. So that was like my time to be like, okay, I really have to prove myself to Abby right now. And she loved me. That changed everything, I feel like. That solo was super good. Everything went smoothly. I always got along with her because I kind of felt like I wasn't trying to impress her all the time. I felt like, again, because I was kind of different from the other girls who were technically better than me at dancing, I knew that Robin and Richie, I wanted their approval kind of more because of the type of style I was going for. Robin was all for like superstars and someone who just like has that fire in them. Richie would always say I was like a firecracker. I think also Robin literally said I was a firecracker. So it was kind of, these are the people who get me. And Abby, I wanted to be good for her, but I wasn't always trying to impress her. And I feel like that's kind of why we got along more. And again, I never raised my voice, or I kind of just like listened. I listen, I dance, try not to miss a beat. I don't complain if something was hurting, except for obviously how I got kicked off the show was I literally pulled my muscle and I couldn't do what they were having me do. But again, I think it was pretty messed up when I do look back at it, how long they were having us hold these certain moves. And I feel like when I looked like I was in pain, they had us like hold it for longer and longer and longer because of like drama or whatever. And looking back on how I definitely got eliminated, I think it was pretty inhumane. We were the only people who had to do something like that. And it was head to head for me and Asia to be eliminated because they couldn't decide, they couldn't pick. So they put me and the 8-year-old flexible god against each other. And so I feel pretty much now that it was a setup. But yeah, when I was in pain, they definitely made that go crazier. But now with Abby, a couple years ago, I did go visit her and we filmed together and we watched some of our clips. I'd say we still do get along. I haven't spoken to her in a couple of years now, but she'll here and there comment on my Instagram pictures. And yeah, I never have anything bad to say about Abby ever. She obviously had a character on the show and she is very sweet in person. Next question, did you form any lifelong friendships from AUDC? Yes, I would say the two that I still communicate with and talk to pretty consistently is Asia and Tessa. Tessa, I will go to even for relationship advice. I don't know, she's just like such a happy, fit queen. And I basically go to her for so much advice. She still lives in Arizona. She was there for me at a time in my life when I literally needed someone so much. She was there for me this one day, and I will literally never forget it, in Arizona. And she helped me pack everything up, picked me up from the airport, like took me to get food. She's just such an angel, and she still does like teaching and personal training and stuff like that. She is just such a good human. And then Asia is just killing it on social media still and just goes to so many events. She lives so far away, but she's in LA doing things more than I am. She is such a nice person, and her mom has always taken such good care of me, and she's just such a good mom. I love that whole family. I love them so much. And Asia, she will still put me in my place. She's such a Leo. She's so honest with me. You need those kinds of friends. And there's been so many scenarios where Asia's like, if you do this, like, I swear I will not talk to you. Like, I don't agree with that. And I'll literally be like, oh my God, like, I don't want to lose Asia. Like, oh my God. Yeah, Asia's definitely a keeper in my life. She is such a real one. And I'm so thankful for those relationships and friendships that I had for so long just from the show. Last question. What was your favorite solo song you danced on? I feel like I'm just going to change this, sorry, to favorite solo I had, because I do not remember the songs at all. The only song I remember dancing to was my hip hop solo, and it was something like, get up, get up, get up, get up, no, 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 don't get down, get up, get up. Like, that was pretty good. I'm pretty sure that's probably like a pretty known song because, you know, the producers over there is just laughing at me. But I do remember that song. But my favorite solo, yes, probably my hip hop solo, but also that contemporary one. I thought that was just a pivotal moment in the show for me. And I just got the most praise and standing ovation from my hip hop solo. And I'm so glad I got to do that because, you know, it was literally my time to shine. Hip hop and a solo. The choreographer was so cool. I remember he would wear these Jeremy Scott Adidas, whatever. Sometimes I really watch European influencers and Australian influencers, and then I start talking how they talk, and I don't even know what's right anymore. You guys just catch yourself like Adidas and like jacket potato or like jacuzzi, flammable. I like literally say the weirdest things because I just hear someone else say it and it just sticks to me. But yeah, those were my favorite dances. That wraps up this episode. I seriously think I'm going to have so many more questions now that I've kind of resurfaced this and brought this back up into my life. So if you do have any more questions, just leave them down in the comments and I'll get back to you guys. I love this episode. Thanks for sticking with me. Some of you guys know me still from this era of my life. Thanks for sticking with me and supporting me. Thanks for still coming and listening to the podcast. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And I will see you next Wednesday with a new episode. Peace.
You've been listening to the Jordyn Jones Podcast. Jordyn's passion is to inspire, relate, and give you that much-needed one-hour escape from life's everyday struggles. Your family, and we're so glad you're here. Make sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at Jordyn Jones. Jordyn. This production is brought to you by Straw Hut Media, hosted by Jordyn Jones, produced by Ryan Tillotson, edited by Daniel Ferreira. Additional production help by Carolyn Mendoza, Ali Ahmed, and Samir Gonchi. Keep shining bright like the diamond you are, and see you next time on the Jordyn Jones Podcast.